SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
You're listening to Sports Talk Mississippi On Demand, presented by Pearl River Resort. Escape to Choctaw, Mississippi and enjoy world-class gaming, the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, and Geyser Falls Water Park. Escape to Pearl River Resort.
Sports Talk Mississippi is on the air. Sports Talk Mississippi is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. To the junction, in the Grove, and to the top. This is Sports Talk Mississippi. On your radio and in the game. Right here on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome in on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon in Tampa, Florida. Michael Borkey alongside Brian Hadad. Houston making everything happen. Will East in the studio. Day 3 of SEC Media Days, and it's Ole Miss Day. How do we know it's Ole Miss Day? Because literally right now on ESPN, Trinidad Chambliss, directly in front of our
Even
face,
I could throw a football and hit Trinidad Chambliss.
He's on ESPN right now. When he's done here in about 13 minutes from right now, he's going to sit right here live next to us to talk to you about his everything. You know, his team, new offensive coordinator, all kinds of stuff coming your way here again with Trinidad Chambliss live in about 13 minutes. Kewan Lacy sat down with me a little bit earlier today. You will get to hear that conversation as well. After Trinidad, the next segment, Will Echoles is going to come sit right next to me and talk as well. We've got that and a great guest lineup today. Damian Harris, you guys remember him. He was awesome at Alabama. He was in the NFL. He played with two of the greatest played for two of the greatest coaches of all time, Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. He joins us. We talk running backs with him, a good conversation there. Andy Staples, you know him, you love him. We make fun of his co-host for not owning a bucket. That's coming up in the
Will, do you own a bucket?
Multiple
Want to make sure? Okay. Just making sure.
Multi-time homeowner, Ari Wasserman, Andy's co-host, does not own a bucket.
No bucket.
No bucket in the house at all. Ross Dellinger, Hadad's favorite person. We get an update on the goings-on in Washington. And more on Mornings with Richard Cross tomorrow and Middays with Gerard tomorrow. Tommy Tuberville had just a great idea.
Even I thought it was a good idea. That tells you how good that idea is.
And because it's a great idea, Congress is going to not do anything about it. They're going to be dismissive of that. But we talk about that with Ross. We talk about Florida. The Gators are here today with Andrew Abity. All that and more coming your way on this Wednesday edition of Sports Talk Mississippi.
We are in the Pearl River Resort studios. No matter where we go, Pearl River Resort, pearlriverresort.com. Book your weekend stay now. Book your round of golf. Book your passes to Geyser Falls for the family. Whatever you want to do it at Pearl River Resort. C-Spire text line open to you, 601-879-4395. Right now at C-Spire, the Ultimate Connect bundle is all you need to know about. A new iPhone, a new watch, a new tablet, plus 100 gigs of data for only $90. A deal you can't beat, but there's a lot more at your local C-Spire store or at cspire.com. C-Spire, inspired by you. Our SEC Media Days coverage is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Cannon Motors. See your Mississippi Ford Lincoln dealers today. Cannon Ford Lincoln of Starkville, Cleveland, and Pascagoula. Remember, nobody beats a Cannon deal. Nobody. CannonMotor.com. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Company, local agents and adjusters, great rates, fast, fair claims. Go to MSFBINS.com to find a local agent near you. And Trustmark Bank, whatever you're planning for the future when you bank with Trustmark, Trustmark tomorrow starts today. Trustmark, people you trust, advice that works. Member FDIC.
Pete Golding took the stage right at 1:30 today. Had a lot to say. You'll get to hear some of that coming up later as well. Talked about how he and Jeff Levy play golf together at Old Waverly. Mm-hmm. They're buddies.
Yeah.
Good
they work together.
Yeah. They
know each other.
They didn't work together.
Did they not? I guess you're right, yeah.
But they are buddies.
They know each other, though.
He gave a really great quote about Lane Kiffin. He said they're doing this fan tour around the state and around the country, and he said fans are coming up to me saying, hey, what do you really think about Lane? He's like, honestly, He gave me an opportunity. I told him he shouldn't leave. I told him he was being dumb for leaving. But I'm thankful for him. I have no ill will. I'm going to look towards the future and not in the past. And, we're all good. It's not a thing that I want to talk about anymore, basically.
Yeah.
Is how he put it. I thought it was a really well-done answer. This one cracks me up, though. He was asked on the big stage about the Dabo thing. And luckily the SEC network is not under the scrutiny of the FCC because Pete Golding does not have the same filter that Greg Sankey probably wishes he had in terms of certain language. So I'll have to edit this briefly. But he was asked about not just the Dabo thing, but overall tampering, what's going on. And he said, quote, "Would you quit your job before interviewing for another job? No, nobody would. The same ADs fussing about all this stuff are the same ones calling coaches mid-year about unopened jobs."
Yeah. That's a true statement, though. It's a very true statement, no question. And, Pete Golding apparently, if reading the social media platforms, did really well today.
Because it does not mean anything on the football field. Now, it does give you a good look into why he can recruit so well.
Yeah.
But there's something about coaches that don't have filters. And Mike Elko today had a really good quote as well where he was asked, he's like, how do you keep players motivated? How do you make sure that they're not satisfied? And he said, I take them to our trophy case. There's nothing in it.
That's a good quote.
And I love that because we want you to be real. And today, Pete Golding was real. He was himself. He was engaging. He cussed a little too much. And I
You knew that was coming.
Yeah, and that, because a couple of the national media guys were like, we were told that Pete Golding was going to be too buttoned up today. And I'm so glad that he didn't try to be somebody that he's not. Does that mean they're going to win or lose come this fall? No.
Well,
but
what I'll say
is trying to be somebody that he's not.
That's what I was going to say is, we've talked about Zach Arnett in the past and how in his 1 year as a head coach, he was somebody that he was not. If you go back and watch press conferences and things of that nature, that's not the Zach Arnett that I know. That's not the Zach Arnett that I got to know the 3 years previous. So for him to come here and at the very least, appear comfortable in his own skin, appear willing to talk, appear willing to do whatever, then, yeah, that's a great sign for Ole Miss. That's a great sign for Pete Golding, and a great sign if you're an Ole Miss fan that your coach has his feet on the ground underneath him.
He's comfortable.
Yeah.
He appeared comfortable today, and that is a good thing. We visited with Kewan Lacy. I'm excited for you guys to hear that conversation. I put a couple of clips of my interview with him out there on social media already, although they're scheduled, so I guess one's already out. Whatever. You're going to hear the entire interview. I ended up asking him about turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Because there was that viral picture that came out of him holding a turkey.
Yeah.
And it was funny. He's from Texas. So I figured it'd be the same thing in Texas. But I asked, when you're not playing football, when you're not focused on, what do you like to do? And he's like, well, in Mississippi, you got to do everything outside because that's what you do in Mississippi, which is cool.
Yeah.
But you're from Texas, brother. I didn't realize that you guys don't do everything outside in Texas.
Well, yeah, what's so different over in Texas?
But, hey, this shows you my brain versus probably a lot of our audience's brain. He said, we like to spend a lot of time at the range. I was like, oh, you're a golfer? He goes, no, shooting range. What are you doing? Not the driving range.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's been working on his hunting skills, apparently, has Kewan Lacy. So all that coming your way, really excited about that.
Marty in Portland. Golding did a lot to cool down September 19th a bit, but we'll see what Lane does tomorrow.
Well, who knows? But, yeah, he did.
Dump a bucket of gasoline.
And that's
Lane's got a bucket.
It's the exact right messaging. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't in his house.
No,
of any of the
Kiffin's a fisherman. He's got a bucket.
Somebody else's boat that he goes out on.
I'm just saying, there's a bucket in that house.
In his house?
I believe it.
And when you move that much,
Yeah, he does move. Yeah, he's a mover.
a lot of brown boxes everywhere.
Yeah.
But you're right. He did. However, it'll work. Sorry about that. But I don't know if it'll work or not. But you are right in that what he said on the stage today is what Greg Sankey was hoping everybody would do from the beginning,
right,
as he told us earlier this week, is to bring the temperature down, talk about your own team. That was really helpful. And I don't think he's lying, by the way. I really don't. Because the way he explained it was, you got to separate the personal from the professional. I told him not to do what he did. He said in an interview a few months ago, I called him out on it. I thought he was being dumb with the way he went about it, but he gave me this opportunity. I wouldn't have this job without him. I learned a lot from him. I like his family. He was good to mine. Why am I going to be up here and be mad? So I thought it was really good, and hopefully that helps, but I don't know if it will.
When you're talking about a person like Lane Kiffin and whatever personality defect you want to assign to him that makes him the way that he is, it doesn't really matter what you do sometimes. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how good you are to them. Some people just, to quote Alfred, some men just want to watch the world burn. And that's kind of what Lane Kiffin is. So I'm not trying to make Pete Golding into Batman or anything like that, but at the same time, that's the area that he's going to live in right now, where he has to be the voice of reason in a lot of things when we're talking about Ole Miss versus LSU. Speaking of Ole Miss, Rebel quarterback Trinidad Chambliss,
he's waiting on us.
All-American, rated the #1 quarterback in college football by The Athletic. He will join us on the show when we come back. Sports Talk Mississippi, live in Tampa. Our coverage brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Cannon Motors, Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Company, and Trustmark Bank.
Thank you, Birmingham!
Good afternoon.
Sports Talk Mississippi on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back in Sports Talk Mississippi, SEC Media Days in Tampa, now with Trinidad Chambliss, quarterback at Ole Miss, and they showed me the inside of your jacket. We're in an ocean area, and you're on island time right now.
Got to. Shout out to Fitch and Kelly, who got me right. You guys can see that. It's
look at that
island time, island theme, Caribbean.
Look at that, zooming in on it and everything. Do you listen to that song ever? Like when you're driving, do you ever listen to the Island Time song?
That's another question that they were asking too. I was like, no, but no, I don't. I don't listen to that often. I mean, sometimes people play that, but no, I don't play that a lot.
You've had one of the more interesting off seasons that any quarterback has had, with the drama at the end of last season. You're on the airplane on the way home when you hear from the NCAA, so then you have to deal with that. Are you excited to just be a football player again?
Yes, I am. And the offseason was stressful at first, not knowing if I'll be an Ole Miss Rebel again or I'll be preparing for the NFL draft was definitely a stressful time. It was just doubt. I didn't know where I was going to be. And it was stressful for my family, but I'm happy that, I'm back in the red and blue playing for Ole Miss again. And now after that was, finalized, I was focused on, spring ball, and now we transition into summer ball and soon fall camp, and then the season's here, right? So I'm just super excited to, put those jerseys on again and, play ball with my guys.
You could have gone in the transfer portal, and let's be honest, you could have gotten paid a lot of money to go play quarterback for basically any team in college football. Why did you choose to stay at Ole Miss?
Well, me and my family, our beliefs is we're very loyal to people who treat us right, and we value relationships. And I mean, for the amount of money that people were throwing, or I guess experiences that people were talking about, I mean, for me to do that, to throw away all those relationships and the memories that I had, and I guess the legacy that I've kind of already built here at Ole Miss, just throw it away, why are we doing that? Why would I do that? That's not something that I would want to do. That's not something my family would want me to do. And honestly, there was no second thought or anything. I wanted to be at Ole Miss. And the people in Oxford have been great to me and my family. Even before I was kind of a big name in Oxford and for the Ole Miss fan base. My visit was great. My interactions with people throughout the summer leading up to the season last year were great. And I wasn't even the guy. And I love Oxford. I truly do.
Pete Golding, your new head coach, how much, I say new, but you've been around him for a while now. How has your relationship blossomed since he got the job?
It's blossomed a lot. last year he was our DC, so I wouldn't see him as much just because I'm on the offensive side. But whenever I talk to him or run into him, it was, great time, great conversation. And now that he's the head coach, he's more involved with, I guess not more involved, but he's walking around, seeing how the offense is and kind of more involved with that a little bit. So yeah, it's been good. And then just facing his defenses and just talking football with him, I'm learning so much because he's a defensive mastermind. I'm on the offensive side of the ball, so I'm reading defenses. I'm trying to, pick apart defenses, and it's only helping me out on, just seeing that defense day in and day out. It's like iron sharpens iron. It's always a chess match whenever we're facing, Luke and Keaton, Will, Cam Franklin, Park, all those guys that are great athletes. And, it's been great. And, PG's done a great job, leading us.
John David Baker, your new offensive coordinator. Let's start relationship-based first. He joins you guys during the playoff run. What is your maybe off-the-field relationship like with your new offensive coordinator?
Yeah, JDB's a great guy. He's a great coach as well. Super down-to-earth. He's played quarterback before, so he knows, what's at stake. He knows the amount of, pressure and what is on my shoulders. And, we both understand that. And it's cool to have a coach that can, relate to you. And I love that. And outside of football, he's easygoing, a cool guy, loves the golf. He's elite at golf, too. Same with PG. But, yeah, really cool guys, man. And I'm glad that we have a really solid coaching staff.
And there's been a lot of talk here this week about the new offense, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. How new is the new offense to you?
Yeah, it's not as new as what people think. PG, his main focus and his biggest priority was having stability within the scheme and within our offensive system. And JDB was at Ole Miss before he was at ECU. He transitioned to go to ECU. He brought Ole Miss offense and the offense that we were currently, using to ECU, and then now he's back at Ole Miss. So, I mean, it's ideally the same offense, but newer terminology, and we're going to probably try some things out along the way as well. So.
New crop of wide receivers, sort of. You have returners, Deuce Alexander being the most high-profile returner, but we already know what he's capable of in an Ole Miss uniform. So what about the other guys who have stood out in spring that have either come in or somebody like maybe a Caleb Cunningham who has been in the program?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys on our roster, and especially in our receiver room, that can make some noise and are capable of, being a guy. And, we have Deuce. Caleb Odom is a, flexible, hybrid tight end that, is really athletic and can really go up and catch the ball and at a high level. And then also we got Jonte Cook at slot. We got Horatio Fields, who's going to raise some eyebrows throughout the whole SEC and in the nation too. He's a solid guy. He kind of reminds me of Devontae Adams, just a solid guy, big target. But yeah, we got a lot of dudes. I can go on and on, but I don't want to take up too much time.
People say, it's his team now. Talking about you. You're the quarterback. It's your team. What is that responsibility like now that you are spending the whole offseason as the guy?
Yeah, it's a little bit different than how it was last year. I wouldn't say it's my team. It's our team. These are the guys that I'm, working day in and day out, working out with day in and day out. They're putting in just as much time and effort as me, and I appreciate that. As a leader, I feel like how hard you go and what you display translates to how your team will respond. And, our guys have responded well. And I feel like, this offseason, those guys that, were not as much in the leadership role throughout the season, a little bit less like Deuce or, Kewan, throughout the year, our voices kind of got louder and our leadership, rose. But now, we're kind of going into the year as guys that could be, leaders and looked at as leaders, and they know what it takes. They know what it takes to get to a college football national semifinal game. They know how it takes to make a deep run in the playoffs and beat Georgia, stuff like that. And we know that we have a team capable of doing that, but we just have to start with the fundamentals and basis of day one. It starts now in summer ball, it starts now in fall camp, and then eventually when we play week 1 versus Louisville, we'll see where the chips may fall.
And you yourself, there's so much attention that is being put on you. With, a Heisman campaign that the school is putting out there for you. You're showing up number 1 on all these quarterback rankings and things like that. The team itself has a ton of pressure on it. How do you guys manage that? What do you do personally, and then what do you do with the team to help keep everybody in perspective with all that pressure on you?
Yeah, me personally, I try not to look at all those rankings and stuff, because at the end of the day, that they have no influence in, I guess, it won't show you, I guess, the real until it's finally done, I guess. You see all these draft projections and stuff and, I guess expectations from our team and who could be an impact player or who won't, stuff like that. And our team, we don't pay attention to any of that noise. Last year was our biggest test. There was a lot of outside noise, and our team was so focused. We ended up beating Tulane, beating Georgia, and we were damn close to beating Miami to make a national championship appearance. So our team's focused. That's the Ole Miss standard, is to win national championships or to compete for national championships. And but yeah, we don't focus about anything that's outside of the football facility because that has no control of how our team's success looks.
Quarterback's a big job, has a lot of demands, so you're busy all the time. When you want to disconnect from football, what do you do?
I like to, hang out, with my family and friends. I like to cook a lot.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the best, meals and dishes in the world, but, I enjoy cooking and, making, unique, I guess, combos and stuff. And
tell us recently, what have you done?
I don't know. I just got a grill recently, so I've been grilling, steaks, chicken breasts, stuff like that, corn on the cob. I like making asparagus, potatoes, and I like fun, healthy dessert recipes. One of my best friends, Jack Sherholtz, and we always send each other healthy desserts through TikTok and stuff. And we talk about how we're gonna make this a sweet potato brownie, stuff like that. I like making fun, unique stuff like that. That might not, I guess, be a McDonald's brownie or anything like that, but might be on the healthier side,
Yeah, it keeps you ready to play, but
yeah. It tastes good, too,
Has anybody from the Trinidad and Tobago Tourism Department contacted you yet?
No, but I have ran into a lot of people from Trinidad. I ran into this guy. He works at Nichols State at the Manning Passing Academy. He was there, and he was like, Trinidad Chambliss. I was like, yes, sir. He was like, I'm from Trinidad. And he was super pumped to, meet me and, tell me he's from Trinidad and, tell me about the island and, the country. And he was saying that some people are tuned in to Ole Miss football and watching, a school in Mississippi playing against SEC teams day in and day out, which is so cool because it's now Ole Miss is I guess worldwide, right?
Yeah.
It's really cool to see. And
you got to go visit sometime.
I know. I've been telling all my life. I was I want to go visit Trinidad and Tobago and see what the islands. I heard it's beautiful. I heard it's a beautiful country.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and good luck this year. You mentioned Louisville, big game, week 1. Everybody's talking about week 3, but week 1, you got a really quality opponent in Nashville, so we'll see you there.
Yes, sir. Thanks
it's
for
Trinidad Chambliss, quarterback at Ole Miss. We're Sports Talk Mississippi from SEC Media Days in Tampa. Back in just a bit.
From the Subaru.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Cannon Motor Company.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi, SEC Media Days in Tampa. Now joined by Will Echoles, Ole Miss defensive tackle. Really appreciate your time.
I'm glad to be here.
How ready for actual football are you?
I'm ready, man. I'm tired of doing OTAs. You got fall camp coming up, and the season's going to be here before you know it.
So are you one of those people that hates practice, or do you love practice?
I love practice, honestly. I feel like to be successful and to be a great player, you got to love practice because, practice should be harder than the game. So once you get to the game, everything should be easy.
You're a Mississippi guy.
Yep.
And from hearing things that you've said in the past, that really matters to you. So what does it mean going into this season with Ole Miss being what it is now, in part because of things that you have done representing your home state as well? What does that mean to you?
It means everything, just showing other players coming in that, you can be successful here in Mississippi. And I'm sorry, I keep getting caught up watching the highlights. That's why.
Watching your own highlights?
Yeah.
How often do you ever do that?
I go on, we're talking about Twitter. I go on Twitter and I see some clips of me, so I I just watch him then. But, you know, it means everything, you know, playing for Ole Miss, playing for the state of Mississippi. It's just showing recruits that you can stay in state and still be successful.
So tell me about Pete Golding, your new head coach, but he recruited you. He's been your defensive coordinator. What do we need to know about him that people maybe don't know about him?
He's the same person always, you know, whether it's on the field, off the field. You know, he attacks the game. He's very intentional with the details that we need to do to be successful, and he lets us know that he's a defensive mastermind. Like, if you just sit there and listen to him talk, he can talk all day, and it really confuse you how much stuff he actually knows about defense. And so, you know, he's fun to be around, and I'm glad I get to play for him.
Did you think playing football you'd have to study as much as you do in a Pete Golding defense?
I didn't, but, you know, I kind of caught on to it fast, so I'm glad I got to learn the skills.
What's your major, if you don't mind me asking?
Multidisciplinary studies. So I have 3 minors, 1 in education, 1 in sports management, and 1 in business.
And so, I mean, you know, this is right up your alley, but I couldn't take a test anymore. If somebody asked me to take it, I couldn't do it anymore. How much do you study, not necessarily film, but study scheme in a given week during the season?
I study a lot because, you know, a lot of offense has a bunch of tips and tails, and to allow you to make plays, just like, you know, play LSU last year. You know, they had a couple of tendencies. They're doing offense that allowed me to make some plays, some big time plays in that game. So, you know, I do it a lot. I used to like play faster, you know, because you can anticipate what's coming.
Well, we had somebody earlier that does film breakdowns on the show, and when he talked about you, he specifically said 2 things. The first was that you played your best against the best teams in the biggest spot. Why do you think that you did that?
I mean, the way I prepared, you know, as a kid, you dream about playing on big time games. You know, you watch them on TV, and, you know, for you to be there, you know, lights and camera action on, you know, you just go out there and make plays, make a name for yourself. You know, everybody watching you. So, you know, it's just a great opportunity at hand. You know, like play the Sugar Bowl, play Miami, Fiesta Bowl. You know, great opportunity to make a name for yourself. Everybody watching. You know, it was the only game that was on New Year's. I want to say on New Year's. So, you know, everybody watching, you know, everybody home watching. So what you going to do? What you want people to say about you after the game?
And you seem like a really nice guy. The other thing he said, though, was he plays like he hates the guy in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah, you know me, you know, I'm not a big I'm aggressive on the field, but I'm not an angry person, you know. As y'all may see, I'm on the field, I smile a lot. Y'all probably see that a lot, but cuz, you know, I enjoy playing the game. But, you know, I know it's all business when it comes down to it, but I honestly enjoy playing the game and enjoy going to make plays, and I enjoy the process to, you know, from my training and everything like that. I just enjoy the whole process.
You had a great season last season, but what is the thing that you have spent on most this offseason thinking that you need to get better? What's the one trait that you want to improve on from last season?
Probably like breaking down film more, you know, being able to anticipate to make some more plays. I left a couple sacks on the table last year. In some games, so, you know, just finishing them plays, being a better pass rusher, because I know this year I'm going to probably get a lot of double teams slid to me, you know, just being able to work through that and still be able to impact the game.
So how do you improve on completing sacks, getting pressure and turning that into a sack? What's the drills or whatever you're doing to make that happen?
Probably just tackling drills. I feel like tackling is a big part of the game. Obviously it is on defense, but, you know, you have to practice tackling, because that's a big goal. That's a big thing in the game. So you can't just tell a coach can't just tell me a coach can't just tell you to go practice tackling. You have to actually show you, and it all comes down to angles and your pursuit.
What is the next step for your team in your program? Trinidad just told us, you know, this close against Miami, and he's spending time working on making sure that this close becomes this close in a win. What do you think the next step as a program that you guys need to take is in order to go win that game and compete for a national championship?
I feel like we took that step, and that started with getting some guys in the back end, you know, get some more depth up front on the D-line. And so now I feel like we got a great defense that can go out there and compete. Nobody has to save their energy for the rest of the game. We can go out there and all play 100% and, you know, wear teams out.
Pete Golding said something on the stage about that specifically, that on the defensive line, that there weren't enough guys that he could rotate in on last year's team, but he said he thinks he has that now. Who would those guys be that are not named Will Echoles that you think are going to have a big impact? Let's start on the inside of the defensive line, the interior defensive linemen. Who are the guys that Ole Miss fans listening need to watch for this year?
Jamarius Brown, Jaheim Otis, Makai Burrows, Andrew Maddox, Cam Beavers, Jane Curtis.
All of which 5 stars out of high school, or 4 or 5 stars out of high school, too.
Yeah, watch everybody, honestly, because we so deep in our D-line room now that I feel like everybody can play winning football.
And now at the edge position, Cam Franklin coming back, that's a big deal. Centurion Perkins, I guess he's more of like a hybrid linebacker edge, but who else there? 3 guys coming in the portal, brought in some freshmen as well.
Obviously we got Cam Franklin and Perk on the edges, but brought in Jonathan Monado, Blake Purchase, Jordan Renard from Alabama. We brought a freshman, Landon Barnes in. And I think that all. I want to say that's all, but every one of them guys can go in and play big time football, and they know that's what we need.
So when I asked Kewan and Trinidad this, when you're not focused on football, when you're not playing football, when you're not practicing, how do you unwind? What do you do?
I try to get out of town. Either I'm in tune with outdoors, whether it's with my horses or something like that, or I'm out of town shopping, just enjoying my time, enjoying life.
With your horses?
Yeah.
How many horses do you have?
About 6. Me and my brother, when I was in high school, I was very big on horses. I don't really have time now with football and coming up with Miss. But actually, my major, I wanted to do agriculture and equine. So, but Ole Miss don't really offer that. But hopefully I can come back and get my master's in that.
So you're a SEC defensive tackle. Can SEC defensive tackles ride horses, or do you go home and ride, or what's that like now?
Yeah, we can ride. We can get on down now. I can get up on one, get down.
Oh man, that's. Do you ever race them?
Yes, that's really what I do, race them. But it's fun. It's a way to get away, have fun. All my brothers, my oldest brother. He the one really got me into it. So, ever since then, it's just been something that I love doing.
What are their names? You said you had 6, right? What are their names?
Okay. I don't have 6 now. When I was in high school, I had 6. Okay. I haven't been around the barn as much lately, but I had a horse named Future, had a horse named Shine, had a horse named what that horse name?
But Future and Shine.
Yeah, Future, Shine. Right. I got a bunch of horses. I ain't gonna lie. It's been so long. It's been like a long time. I'm telling you.
You look at a lot of mock drafts, and your name is in the first round. How do you feel about that generally? And does that distract you? Does it creep in your mind? What do you think about getting placed in those mock drafts as a first round pick?
I'm thankful for it, but I'm not placed number 1. There's still people ahead of me as far as D linemen, so I'm still trying to get to that top spot so I can solidify myself as one of the top players in the draft. So I don't really buy into it for real. I know I still got work to do, and the only way I'm gonna get to that position is by going out there and playing to the best of my ability this season.
Last question for you, then we'll let you get out of here. Randall Joyner is produced defensive lineman, recruits defensive lineman. What is it about him that allows him to do those things?
Probably his passion for the game. Like, he's always kept it real with me ever since I was in high school. He never told me a lie. He's a big guy. He's a big personality. Same person we always see him. He's good at developing people, and he's developed me to not only be a good player, but a good person and a good young man that I became to be. And I'm super thankful for him today. He has a beautiful family. He has just had another daughter named Sierra. Has one daughter named Magnolia. Beautiful family, a down-to-earth guy, and I'm happy that he's a part of my life.
Really appreciate you sitting down with us. Good luck this season. Louisville, week 1. That's a big one up there in Nashville. That's Will Echoles, Ole Miss defensive lineman. We'll be right back. Sports Talk Mississippi from Tampa.
Thank you.
From the Venable Glass.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Trustmark Bank.
And a big-time hit.
Sports Talk Mississippi back with you here at SEC Media Days live in Tampa. Brian Hadad, Michael Borkey. Big thanks to Will Echoles and Trinidad Chambliss and to Kewan Lacy, who you're going to hear from in just a few minutes, for joining us here on Digital Drive. We appreciate that very much. Our coverage at SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Stone's Jewelry of Tupelo. Stone's Jewelry in Tupelo offers high-quality jewelry and watches from the name brands, one-of-a-kind custom designs, and friendly, knowledgeable service. StonesJewelryInc.com. And Coldwell Banker Southern Real Estate. Since 1906, Coldwell Banker Southern Real Estate has been guiding people in North Mississippi to the home of their dreams. Search their listings on cbtupelo.com.
All three of the interviews. So you just heard from two of them. Kewan Lacy coming up at the top of the next hour. All three of those will be posted on all of our social media channels. So if you follow SuperTalk or Sports Talk on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, they will be there.
The talk of the tick?
Same thing for Mississippi State tomorrow as well. I'll also... I've already started doing that. I'll have to do more of it after the show ends. Clips of those interviews will be going out. And same thing tomorrow. We are going to copy and paste the process for State Day that we did Ole Miss Day.
Yeah.
And so you need to be following us. And, good
you
stuff.
You can see in just a few minutes on our SuperTalk Instagram and TikTok accounts an exclusive interview I have with Trinidad Chambliss and Will Echoles. You don't want to miss it.
You don't want to miss. Don't want to miss that. I am incredible. I mean, a lot of these players are impressive because they're chosen for a reason. They're hard workers. You don't get to this point if you're not, a hardworking, impressive young man. Mm-hmm. Trinidad Chambliss is awesome. Thoughtful and intelligent and has good perspective. Again, nothing that happens today impacts play on the field, but you've already seen him play on the field. And sometimes hype and attention and pressure can get to people. He would not be the first one if it happens. But after getting to sit down with him for 11 minutes there and from talking to people that are around the program every day and things like that, if anybody is equipped to handle the attention that he has gotten this offseason, it is him.
His maturity is off the charts. Like, talking to him for just a few minutes there was kind of like talking to somebody almost like my age. Like, it really did feel like he, I don't know, how old is he, 22, 23, something like that?
I think
it honestly felt like I was talking to somebody that I might have gone to school with. Just as and it goes back to something we were talking about with Golding. Seemingly, and same with Will Echoles a few minutes ago, they're comfortable. They don't feel like they're not being tryhards, if that makes sense. And I was thinking about tomorrow already, like with TJ Daugherty coming in. Is he going to be a tryhard? Is he going to be like really pushing the message of why I left Ole Miss to everybody, or is he just going to be here and talk about his team and what this season is going to be like at LSU? I'm interested to know the answer to that.
I would be surprised if he does that, and maybe I would be surprised if he does that, because even though he did choose to leave, Ole Miss paid him handsomely, and played him a lot.
Yeah,
like he played and he was paid, and I don't know if it would be wise, just generally speaking, to spend your day trolling when this is your opportunity to build your own brand absent a decision that you made. That's what makes, like what Pete Golding said today, I mean, Trinidad and Kewan and Will have been asked about it all day, and their answer is just like, it's last year. I'm moving forward. People would like to use the relationship analogy, the bitter ex, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. If I have a friend that has broken up with a girl and he just spends all day, every day talking about her,
moaning, griping and complaining.
I kind of feel like you weren't happy about what happened in the breakup.
Right.
And that's okay. That happens. Everybody goes through that.
Yeah.
But that would be, if I were advising, and they don't listen to advice, but if I were advising the LSU contingent tomorrow, if I were their SID, I would show Lane, like, hey, here's Pete talking about you. Hey, here's Kewan talking about you. Hey, here's Trinidad. It's all good. Like, so mirror that energy would be my advice. Will they? I don't know.
Color me doubtful.
But that would be my advice. It's just mirror that energy, because the guys that came before you yesterday are ready to not talk about you anymore. The media, hand up, we're not. But the players are. So I think that would be wise. Speaking of, Kewan Lacy going to join us when we come back. We've got a busy next hour, Brian Hadad.
We got a busy show, brother.
We have a busy show coming your way. Kewan Lacy after the news. You will hear a little bit of what Pete Golding had to say as well. Damian Harris joining us. You guys remember him, especially if you're an Alabama hater. Unfortunately, he probably ran all over your team. And that'll be next hour. Sports Talk Mississippi after the news. More from SEC Media Days in the Pearl River Resort studio. We'll be right back.
I like this kind of party.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is presented by Pearl River Resort.
Kewan Lacy joining us right now, Ole Miss running back. And let's start here. So by the end of last season, you were a little banged up. Physically, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling amazing. The best I ever felt.
The best you ever felt?
Yes, sir.
That's a little scary, though, if you're, a fan of another team in the SEC right now, right?
Definitely.
So what's that rehab process been like for you? Were you full go in spring? Were you still kind of taking it easy? Where has that process been, and how, how's it gone?
So I had shoulder surgery for my labrum after the season. So for about 3 months, I wasn't really doing too much. But then after that process, just taking every day, day by day, and just maximizing, everything.
Do you mind sharing when that injury occurred?
That happened the first week the first playoff game.
So you played 3 playoff games with a labrum injury in your shoulder, and you still ran the way you did.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
I got to ask you about the video game. I grew up playing video games myself, so you being a cover athlete is a really cool thing to see. But I got to know, how often do you play as yourself on a video game?
Man, every time I get on, that's what I'm playing. I'm playing as
Do you play with anybody else?
I don't play with anybody else.
It's just you.
Yeah, me and Trin.
What was that like for you when you found out? How did you feel?
I was just so excited. I believe we were on break, so I was with my family, and I got the call, and I was just super excited, man, just emotional. I had to call my mom, tell her so.
See, I don't think you grew up really in the era that I did, where the college football video game was huge. It just came back a couple years ago after a long hiatus. But did you play that, or did you play Madden, or what was your thing growing up?
I played a little bit of NCAA, when it first, was still out. I was playing when I was younger. Then I transitioned into Madden. I played a lot of Madden. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at the end of last season, obviously your coach leaves. And, let's be honest about this. You could have gone anywhere in the country, and you could have gotten paid a lot of money to go to anywhere in the country. But you chose to stay at Ole Miss. Why?
Right. Really just, what we built at Ole Miss. I feel like the culture there is just amazing, and the competitive nature of everybody that's there is just amazing. So I feel like we got something special there, and, we didn't get to where we wanted to get to last year, so I feel like we can run it back this year.
Pete Golding just wrapped up there in the big room. Obviously, when you come to Ole Miss, he's the defensive coordinator. How has your and his relationship changed, maybe, since he's been the head coach? And what is he like from a player perspective?
from a player perspective, I feel like he is the same person every day. So, you know what I'm saying, you're going to get the same PG. And he's a great guy, smart coach. I feel like I just get the utmost respect to him, you know, him as a person and how he's running the program. But I feel like he's just the same person every day. And our relationship has grown a lot, you know what I'm saying. I feel like he talked to me more, you know what I'm saying, before he was the head coach than now. So,
John David Baker comes in. Did he recruit you when he was at Ole Miss, when you were in high school? Did you have that relationship, or was that a new relationship for you?
It's a new relationship for me. I don't know if he was the tight end coach or if he was there a year before me when I was getting recruited in high school by then.
Well, what is that relationship? So forget the offense for a second, but he comes in during the playoff run. I assume he immediately started talking to you and building a relationship with you. What is that like? What do you think about John David Baker?
I feel like he's a great coach. Already, you know, just fitting in his system, I feel like it's going to be a explosive year for us and Ole Miss. But, you know, I just love, you know, how passionate he is about the game as well.
So I know you're not allowed to unveil specifics about differences in scheme, but how similar would you say this offense is versus the one you ran last year, and maybe what are the overarching differences between the two?
I feel like as a program, they try to keep, you know, the system, you know, at Ole Miss. So they try to keep everything, you know, on the offensive side the same as last year.
Other running backs in the room. So it's not just you that's going to run the football this year. You bring in a couple transfers. You have guys that were on the roster last year with you. What is that room like? Can you shed some light on maybe Mekhi Frazier, Shakai Mills-Knight? What are those guys like?
Nah, definitely. I'll start with Mekhi. Mekhi, he's a transfer from Michigan State. He's a great guy, very humble, down to earth. Then he's explosive on the field. You know, I didn't play much spring, so, you know, I just sat there and watched him. And he was one of the guys that stood out to me, like a very explosive back, you know, read the holes, be patient. Then also JT Lindsey, you know, him coming into his first year. I feel like he's going to be a great running back in this league. You know, I feel like me and him carry a lot of similar characteristics, you know, body type. So I feel like he's going to be good. Then Shakai as well. You know, Shakai, he's getting better every day and, you know, continuing to grow. I feel like he's going to be a good impact too as well in the running back round.
There's a lot of noise that you guys have had to deal with and that you're currently dealing with in different ways. I remember at the end of last season, everybody knew where Kewan Lacy was going. Everybody knew what you were doing, apparently. And now you've got different kind of noise with the video game cover. You got a Heisman campaign that the school's putting out there. How do you, or can you, block all of that out and just focus on football? How hard is that for you?
I don't think it's very hard to, you know, block out, you know, exterior nowheres. I feel like I just focus on, you know, every day, you know, day by day, and just try to get better and, you know, living my purpose, basically.
Pete Golding in the spring said one of their main jobs is trying to keep you guys focused on the right stuff, is how he put it. And I want to ask you about the Louisville game in particular, because all the talking heads like me, dumb people like me, just want to talk about week 3. But you've got a really quality opponent right now coming up in week 1. How much do you know about that game? Neutral site in an NFL stadium. How does that game? Have you guys talked about it yet? How do you feel about it?
You know, we feel great. You know, coming week 1. We're going to have a tough opponent. You know, they have some guys on the edge, on the D-line that are, you know, they had quite a few sacks last year. So it's going to be a good game. I know the linebackers are going to come down hard and, you know, be aggressive. And the safeties, you know, we have one guy that transferred there, TJ. So, you know what I'm saying, we know a little bit about him. But I just know it's going to be a very competitive game.
There is a new running backs coach as well. What is your relationship like with Frank Wilson?
It's good and it's growing right now. I feel like he's a very great coach. He has a lot of knowledge, and, you know, he coached a lot of great backs. So, you know what I'm saying, I just try to take in every nugget I can from him.
When you're not doing football, I know you guys work really hard, but when you're unwinding, when you want to turn football off and do something that's just fun,
What do you do?
Hey, we play catch. We work out.
So you're just football all the time?
Yeah. I mean, I try to, play the game and do other stuff like that. We go to the range out there. A lot of outdoor stuff out there. But
wait, what kind of range? Driving range or shooting range?
The shooting range.
Okay. Because
yeah.
I was about to start talking golf with you for a little bit, but
yeah, we play a little bit of golf. Out there in Mississippi, it's everything to do is outside. So
All right, so you play a little golf. How good are you?
Not too good. I probably started a couple months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're following the LeBron path, though, because an athlete like you, LeBron picks up the game, and 3 months later he's got a perfect swing and all that. That could be you.
That could be. It ain't nothing but some hard work and dedication.
Steph Curry played in a professional golf tournament more than once and played well.
I heard he's doing good, above average.
And then the shooting range, I got to know, what do you do there?
So we have a good relationship with the people up there in Oxford. So they just they set up little courses we do, just to be ready. Then they got little targets from a distance we try to hit.
There was a viral picture of you with a turkey.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through your turkey hunt?
So the first day I went out there, I was out there for 4 hours and we didn't even see a single turkey. So we just wrapped it up that day. Then the next day, we ended up going out there pretty early at 5:30, and we heard a couple of them. Then we tried to get one, and he ran off. So we're kind of down. Then we went to one more spot, and we hid behind some bushes and waited, and one came out, and that's when I got my first one.
All right, can you do a turkey call? Can you do one right now? Can you make a turkey call?
No, I can't do a turkey call.
You can't do a turkey call?
No, we used the little machine, the little whistle.
Did you do it, or somebody else called it in for you?
Somebody else called it in.
But you shot it?
Yeah.
Did you eat it?
Yeah, we did.
How'd you cook it?
We fried it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how it should be done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations to all the success to this point, but I know you're focused on the season and locked in and ready to go, huh?
Yes, sir.
That's Kewan Lacy, Ole Miss running back, possible Heisman contender. We will be back. Sports Talk Mississippi in just a bit.
Good afternoon.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Company.
Oh, one-handed catch.
Welcome back, Sports Talk Mississippi. Michael Borkey and Brian Hadad with you from SEC Media Days in Tampa. Hope you enjoyed those 3 conversations with the representatives from Ole Miss. Again, they will be uploaded for you literally everywhere. I will start doing that. I'm not going to leave where I'm sitting the second the show ends. I will start cutting those and putting them online for you. Just follow us anywhere. Of course, if you're subscribed to the Sports Talk Mississippi podcast, you will get them.
Yeah.
It will be there commercial-free for you, but again, follow us on social media. They will be there. Same thing tomorrow. Copy and paste. Mississippi State will get the exact same treatment tomorrow as well. Yeah. You might be wondering, because we promised and teased and promoted a conversation with Pete Golding. We were supposed to get one of those, and so here's a little inside baseball for you. I'm going to show you the schedule. Right there. If you're watching on SuperTalk TV, I will kind of read it to you there. That is the schedule that each player and coach has when they get here. From 1:30 to 4:50, there is literally not 1 minute that Pete Golding is not doing something with a ESPN network thing or whatever. But in the 30 minutes before he's supposed to start, he was supposed to have a local media scrum. And then after, he was going to join us. And we were going to get that annual one-on-one interview with the Ole Miss head coach. Well, Ole Miss was late arriving today, and so they canceled on us. hopefully, that is something that we can do down the road. Hopefully, at the Not Fall Camp Tour. I would like to say thank you to Brad and the SID team at Ole Miss because they were late. They were quite late. They had to move things around. They had to cancel things with people that are above us, network people, in order to get us the 3 players, and I am very thankful for that. I appreciate that. They worked hard to get us the interviews today, as they promised, and it's not their fault that they were late. It's not the SID's fault. It's not the players' fault, or maybe, I don't know. But it's not the SID's fault they were late. They worked us in.
It'd be really funny if it was an SID's fault. Yeah. Like, I had to go to the bathroom. We couldn't leave without me.
And so here's what I'll say. I'm disappointed. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little frustrated because I don't really bother Ole Miss. Up until recently, I didn't even save Keith Carter's phone number. I don't bother him at all. I try to be as less of a pest as I possibly can be when it comes to stuff like that. Richard, of course, when he was on the show, had a personal relationship with a lot of those people, and he handled some of that. But now that Richard's gone,
he's no longer with us.
Now he's no longer with us. That is on me, and I have tried to not be pokey and not say, "Hey, we're a statewide network. We have 12 stations, 82 counties in Mississippi. We also air your games on 8 of our stations." I don't do that, or at least I haven't, and I'm frustrated because this is I come here for those 4 interviews. You come here for the 4 interviews tomorrow. That is really why we come here. And again, they were late. They were late, and travel is crazy, and I understand all that. Nobody else was. Will Stein sat right here. He doesn't play Ole Miss or Mississippi State this year, and he sat right here. Alabama, Missouri, everybody, they were here the night before. It's a preventable thing. And I'm not taking it personal because a lot of people had things scheduled.
Yeah.
They did not get them. That is why a lot of members of the Ole Miss media contingent got here, and I guess they had a media scrum later in the day, so they canceled it, and they got that. That's fine. But I don't live in Oxford, so I don't get those one-on-one opportunities very often. I would like to think that there's a chance, hopefully down the road, that can be made up for. But we promoted that conversation. We're here for that conversation, and we didn't get that conversation. And so I'm frustrated, I'm disappointed, and I hope that when the Not Fall Camp Tour comes, or sometime between now and then, we can have that conversation. Because he's awesome, he's interesting, he's funny, and he's also the head football coach at Ole Miss. And I think that our audience deserves to hear from him, beyond just a big stage.
From the C Spire text line, this is Borkey's The State Fan origin story. You see, it starts with this, and then they don't come to the Not Fall Camp, and then it's like, oh, we can't give you a credential for Ole Miss LSU, and then by the end of the year, you're ringing a cowbell. I'm here for it. If we're being completely honest.
Well, an Ole Miss fan here says enough. No, I'm sorry. I think that you deserve enough.
What's the enough? What's the enough? Hold on. All right, now. Okay. All right, now. Now they've done it. What's the enough? We have a job to do. People make commitments to us.
Sponsors make commitments with the idea
our
that
sponsors
we're getting coaches on this show
are buying sponsorships based on the idea that we are going to have these people on our show. And we weren't able to deliver that through no fault of our own. We were here. We were ready. And that is disappointing. And we're allowed to be disappointed. And we're allowed to explain to you why we want to make sure that you guys know
why it happened.
We didn't do it. And that's disappointing. And, it bothers me.
We'll still cover them fairly. We'll still cover Ole Miss fairly. We'll still have a great relationship with them. And again, the SID team did an awesome job today because the SIDs weren't late. No. You know what I mean? And they worked hard to get us. And I'm telling you, I really, really appreciate them. Really appreciate them.
And the other thing that bothers me is you were supposed to interview Pete Golding, but it was going to be one of those
away from the table.
Here.
But at least it would have been a one-on-one.
8 months I've been saying that, hey, Pete Golding's coming to Radio Row. He'll do what Lane Kiffin never did. And that wasn't even going to happen. And again, there's 16 teams in this conference, and 15 head coaches patrolled the streets of Radio Row here, and one will not.
Kirby Smart walked in front of us 10 times.
Yeah.
2-time national championship winning head coach.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's just disappointing.
It is. But again, it's not going to affect anything.
Yeah.
Because we got a cut right here, by the way, of him. He was asked about that. There's been a lot of talk, a quiet confidence about personnel that they have on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete Golding was asked about that today, and I think you guys are really going to like this answer. So here it is right now.
I think we're as talented as a defense that I've been around in a long time. And hopefully I felt like we learned some things off of last year's teams of where to focus on in the portal and making sure we added some older veteran guys, and that was up front. I really felt like we didn't have enough depth on the defensive line, especially inside last year, to stay fresh late in games, and I felt like that really hurt. And then in the back end, the size, speed in the back end with experience within this league was really important to me because I felt like we had to get a lot better in the back end collectively across the board to win the games that you were supposed to. So the talent is there. The experience is there. We didn't bring guys in that weren't starters from where they were at. It's just the familiarity of our system from a communication standpoint. And like I was telling somebody the other day, I know they're really good players. I've watched them on tape. They've been really successful at other really good programs. But, like, you really don't know how they're going to respond to adversity because you've never been through it with them yet. And so that's the biggest thing for me as a coach is like, all right, when we get punched in the face and we're gonna, like, how are you going to respond just because you hadn't done that yet with this group? And so obviously you try to create those scenarios in the offseason as much as you can, but that's not real until it's the fourth quarter and you're down one possession. Like, all right, you look up, it's like, all right, man, what you got? So, but I think they're wired the right way. I love how they work. I think they enjoy playing for each other, which is not normal. I think, to me, the strength of the Warrior is the Warrior next to him. And everybody doesn't believe in that, but I think this group does. I like the depth. I like the mentality, but that's got to correlate to Saturdays, to getting off of blocks and tackling guys and finishing plays and communicating really well. But definitely have a high ceiling, and I think has the ability to be better and more talented than the 24 defense was.
Hey, we'll take one.
So that's a big statement there at the end. I have heard two things when it comes to them defensively. One, we've talked about it before, the spending. They had more to spend on this year's transfers on defense than they had last year. I don't want to use the word moneyball because it's kind of cliche, but I'm going to. There was a little bit of moneyball involved in how they had to fill some depth on defense. They didn't go get the high-level linebackers that they were able to get last year. It was guys coming up from a lesser level, maybe not as experienced. Same thing in the back end of the defense. That is not what they got in the portal this year. They go get Crawford from Auburn. He's an elite player at Auburn, high price in the portal. Keaton Thomas, elite player at Baylor, high price in the portal. I mean, they dealt with what they dealt with to get Luke Farrelly, right? There is more depth, they think, than they had last year. And that was what cost them, especially in the Miami game. They had 11 starters that could play with Miami. They didn't have 22. And the 22 was the difference in losing and winning in the second half of that game. They seem to think they have it now. Damian Williams going to join us. David Harris. Williams, I'm an idiot.
If former Mississippi State quarterback Damian Williams is here, I'd be pretty surprised.
I had that on the brain. Damian Harris, elite running back, Alabama, New England Patriots, going to join us when we come back.
From the Seabrook.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Cannon Motor Company.
Sports Talk Mississippi back in Tampa. SEC Media Days. Our Media Days coverage is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. PearlRiverResort.com. Book your weekend now at PearlRiverResort.com. Damian Harris joins us now. He's with CBS Sports. Before that, he was in the Alabama Crimson Tide. He was with the New England Patriots.
Yes,
he's done it all. I want to talk about running backs. Let's talk about we got some of the best ones in the country.
Dog.
If
it's I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry, but if it's one thing I love talking about, man, it's some damn running
backs. If
And
I ever want to get Jacob Hester going, I just start talking about running backs.
Come on, man. You
so
get me hot.
The best one maybe in the country was sitting with us just a few minutes ago in Kewan Lacy.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch him, how complete a running back is he?
Very, very complete. He's explosive. He's patient. He's fluid. He can make a guy miss in a phone booth. He's got all the tools in the bag that you want to have as a back. He's not too big to where it kind of bogs down his elusiveness. He's very shifty, and he's a guy that he has that rare combination of he's a reliable every down back, but at the same time, as a defender, as a defensive coordinator, you're afraid this guy can take it for 60 or 70 on every play. So you've got to deal with him for 4 quarters on the body blows, or he can hit you with a 7-point strike up the band. So he's a very complete back.
You were a guy that had a lot of hype and dealt with it in a program that annually had a lot of hype and, of course, obviously dealt with it beautifully. He's got a ton of that. I mean, he's video game cover, Heisman campaigns, all that stuff. What is the challenge that he is facing from an off-the-field perspective to make sure that it doesn't impact the on-the-field results?
Blocking out external factors. That's all it is. I mean, all of these things that you just mentioned, they're all phenomenal achievements, right? Like being on the cover of a video game, having all this expectation. It's a credit to his body of work, but that's just an external factor. What about any of that is going to help you perform on the football field? Nothing. The thought of, oh, well, I've had success in the past. Is that going to guarantee success this year? No. Being on the cover of a video game, does that cement you as a Doak Walker Award finalist? Absolutely not. Now, why do I believe this? Because it was preached to me by Nick Saban, by Bill Belichick. If you approach this game using like I said, external factors, any external motivating factors, anything that cannot help you achieve on the field success, you're wasting your time. Because there are guys in this locker room who are 5 stars, who are getting paid good NIL money, who all they're committed to is the grind and the work and doing the things and paying attention and focus on the things that are going to help you improve on the football field.
We had another elite running back here today in Jaden Ball from Florida. That's another back I really like. A guy you mentioned, elusive. It really excels at that. Can he be, I think when Ahmad Hardy and Kewan Lacy are healthy, those are the top 2 guys. Is he the number 3 guy for you?
I would not put him at number 3. I would put them all at 1A, 1B, 1C. Because at I promise you, we will see it this season. All 3 of those guys, at one point, we were going to say that's the best back in the SEC. They're all too talented, right? They're very much too talented, especially when you talk about those 3 guys in terms of what they can do, how they impact the game, what type of mentality they carry the football with, and how it affects the opposing defense. These 3 guys, I mean, Jaden Ball, he reminds me a little bit of Ashton Genty. A bigger frame, a bigger body, maybe a touch faster, maybe not as bowling ball-ish, but he gives me that same big back. He's very elusive. He's got good feet. He's got good speed. He uses a good stiff arm. He's got a nasty just forearm shiver that I just love, man. And then Ahmad Hardy, it's like you can't tackle the guy. You can send 6, 7, 8, 9 guys out. You can't tackle him. It's impossible. Whether he runs through your face, whether you get penetration in the backfield and you think you've got him for a 3-yard loss, and next thing you know, he's out the back door for 40 or 50 yards. Some of that is because he outquicks you. Some of that is because he just runs through somebody's face, an unblocked defender, and then creates yards after that. We talked about Kewan Lacy. Like, these guys are premier backs, not just in the SEC, but in all of college football. So to be getting the hype and the recognition that they're getting, it's well deserved. I can't put Jaden Ball at number 3, just like I couldn't put Kewan Lacy at number 3, just like I couldn't put Ahmad Hardy at number 3. I think this is 3 iterations of really, really good running back play.
And we got good news from Eli Drinkwitz on Monday about Hardy. Was cleared. So he's getting ready to get back to play football, which is great news. There was a narrative a few years ago that running backs, they're irreplaceable. You don't need a great running back because it doesn't matter. They're all the same guy. It feels like that's going away, and it's getting back to elite running backs win big-time games. Do you feel that way?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I got a co-worker at CBS by the name of Pete Prisco. I don't know if you guys
I know who that is.
Yeah. You know, every time we do a show and we like to talk about running backs, he does this thing where he's like, yeah, I just take a running back and I take him off the shelf and I put him here, and then I take him and then I get another one off the shelf and I put him in. And I'm just like, man, you're missing the point, man. You're missing the point. Running back is the most beautiful position. And when you have guys like the three that we just mentioned, they are premier guys on their football team. Think about this. Whenever you first started playing football as a kid, what did you want to do? You wanted somebody to give you the ball so you could run with it, right?
Yeah.
What's the only position on the field? Well, I'm not going to say only position, but where your main priority is to take the handoff and run with it.
And then run somebody over.
Yeah, then run somebody over. Oh, not just run somebody over. Then you got to make somebody miss after you just ran somebody over. Then you got to stiff arm somebody. You got to make sure that you don't run out of bounds. You got to make sure that you don't fumble the ball. And guess what? If they don't hand it to you, you've got to run a good route. Because these linebackers, these safeties, they can cover. You have to be able to run good routes, create separation, catch the football, get vertical, and then become a running back. And if by any chance you're not releasing on a route, guess what you're doing? You're blocking for the quarterback. These are all three things, blocking, receiving, and running, that are so imperative to the football game that we all know and love. And you mean to tell me when we've got these great players like Ahmad Hardy and Kewan Lacy, Jaden Ball, the list goes on, you mean to tell me that this is a position that doesn't carry any value? Is that and I know it's not you.
Yeah,
I know it's not you because you and me, we singing the same song right now.
Right. Kewan Lacy is not a replaceable football player.
He's not.
Is
Ahmad Hardy replaceable?
No. Now they've got a good back.
Is Florida the same team without Jaden Ball?
No.
Was Boise State the same team without Ashton Genty?
No.
Were any as great and as talented as any one of those Alabama teams were? Would they have been the same without Mark Ingram? No. Would they have been the same without Trent Richardson or Derrick Henry? The list goes on and on, man. This is one of the best positions in football, and it needs to be regarded as such.
So you kind of hit on something I wanted to talk about. The lineage of Alabama tailbacks is long, it's distinguished. There's Heisman Trophy winners. You're a great part of that. But who is that guy now for the Crimson Tide? I voted for the All-SEC running back yesterday. I got my email. I didn't even consider anybody from Alabama for those spots.
Well, you're asking me, and I could turn around and ask you the same question. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know because we haven't seen anything to be confident in whoever the next man up is. We saw Daniel Hill in spurts last year when Jan Miller was injured, and he looked like a young guy. He looked like a young guy that didn't process the information fast enough and his feet weren't moving fast enough. It looked like the game was a tick too fast for him. You lose Jan Miller. You've got a bunch of young backs in the backfield. A young kid who was highly recruited, E.J. Crowell, who he has all the makings of being a great back, but has he proved anything at this level? Absolutely not. The point of it all is there's a lot to prove in that running back room. And I say that I hope it's taken with a little bit of a grain of salt. There is absolutely a point to be proven by that running back room at the University of Alabama.
Just a couple minutes left here with Damian Harris. What do you think about the guy at Mississippi State, Fluff Bothwell?
I love the name.
Yeah.
I love the name. To be honest, not super familiar other than the name.
Yeah,
not super familiar.
That offense that he's in is interesting, though, because you get it with the Kiffin stuff, too.
Yeah. The Kiffin, the Levy. Everybody thinks it's this passing offense where they just want to throw the ball down the field. That is a run the football offense.
Well, when I think back to the offenses that I played in comparison, right, that is the narrative, that you just want to send the ball down the field. I remember with Coach, because you talked about Coach Kiffin, right? Mm-hmm. There was a period at Alabama where we were doing a team run period, right? And this is good on good. This is when you're supposed to be in your post-style formations. This is when you're really supposed to be working on 11-on-11 running the football. See, there goes the man right there, the one that made us go through hell. It was hell.
It was that man right there. Somebody stop him.
It was hell, but it was worth it. But what I was getting at is Lane Kiffin got in trouble, and he may even have gotten fired on the field because he put us in a 2x2 formations. He completely spread us out, talking about the defense, and we gashed them up the middle because that's a part of our identity. We spread the defense out and we create running lanes because we still were a run team or run first team, and I think it's no different in this example.
I mean, we're talking about, we're broadcasting all over the state of Mississippi. Mississippi at high school football, it's a run first mentality for everywhere. And
it should be everywhere.
If you're not even handing it off, sometimes you just got the quarterback is just look at a guy like Cam Akers when he was at Clinton High School. They just snapped it to him and said, good luck.
Yeah, well, another guy that I know that was like that, Josh Jacobs out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah. He played quarterback in high school, and you know what they did? They snapped it to him, and he ran with it.
I have a great. Did you play against Willie Gay?
I'm not sure if I remember.
Maybe not in college, but would have played
because
maybe in the pros.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't think we were there at the same time in college, and I don't think we crossed paths in the league.
I'll tell the story real quick.
Yeah.
His senior year, their quarterback got hurt, so their coach just decided we'll make Willie the quarterback, and they snapped it to him 50 times, and he rushed for 350 yards. His first ever game playing running back.
Well, I'll be doggone.
And after the game, when somebody said, "Why'd you have the thought to put Willie at running back?" and the coach just said, "Well, can't you tell?"
Yeah, right. I mean, the next question, please.
Yeah, next question was, why didn't you do it all year?
Yeah, well, that's a good one.
Damian Harris, CBS Sports, man, really appreciate your time. Love talking the running game with you,
man.
Sports Talk Mississippi. We'll be back in just a minute.
From the Venable Glass.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Trustmark Bank.
And a big-time hit.
During that commercial break, there was a mini rave going on in here. The fire alarm was going off, lights and all. But actually, you can still hear the alarm. The lights they've cut off, which is the most important part, because I don't know about you, Hadad. They were getting to me there. Somebody on that text line doesn't know who Fluff Bothwell is. Let me defend our previous guest. Is a national football analyst that is primarily NFL stuff. Mm-hmm. It's okay if somebody that has to cover really a different league mostly is not aware of a 600-yard rusher from a 5-8 team.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It is fair. I was hopeful that he knows something about him, but he didn't. But that's fine.
I appreciate his transparency, and I think by season's end he will know exactly who he is.
And after the interview was over, I told him, "Hey man, you should watch some film on Fluff Bothwell. I think you will enjoy it. He's a good back. He's got a lot of talent." And he's like, I will do that, is what he said. So I think for sure that he will. But in that moment, he didn't know. That's fine. It happens. I'd much rather him just come straight out and say, it's not really a guy that I've watched a lot about and I'm not super familiar with, than try to BS me and through a 90-second answer where I'm pretty obvious like he doesn't know.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of players flying under the radar, this kind of blew my mind, but this also really underscores the state of college media, and that includes me, by the way, hand up. National guy earlier was talking to while getting coffee, and he was like, you cover Ole Miss? I said, yeah. He was like, who the hell's Will Echoles?
Yeah.
And I thought, if that is the question that you are asking about an all-SEC defensive tackle who was spectacular in the college football playoff, both the Sugar Bowl and the semifinal game, man, like, you're not doing your job the right way. But that goes to that position, though. I mean, there are a lot of elite defensive tackles, I guess, that people don't know, but that kind of blew my mind. It's like, you don't know Will Echoles? Well, you'll get to learn who he is rather quickly as well. But him flying under the radar, how does that happen?
Well, I think, he's a defensive player.
Yeah.
And there's that. On a team that has offensive superstars. Chambliss and Lacy dominate the headlines. So if you're an out-of-state person, how much do you really know about Ole Miss defensively? If I said, how does Ole Miss win games, your first thing, they say, I'll score everybody. They put points on the board like a slot machine, and that's what I know about Ole Miss. So That's the short answer to a question. But that being said, I mean, by that same token, if you're going to come here and put your booth up and everything, it doesn't hurt to have just a little knowledge of some of these guys. Especially, you see where we're from. Just a little, I don't know.
So going into last season, obviously he didn't have the hype that he does now.
Will Echoles?
Yeah, and luckily, when you're talking about hype with him, he's proven it, right? I mean, you know that he's going to be an elite player. Is there a guy for Mississippi State that going into the season, you're just like, oh, they've got this guy that could, by season's end, be, oh, they've got that guy on the defensive line?
Same position, or same defensive lineman, Will Whitson. Will Whitson.
The, 8th year senior?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. He is the guy that if you watch the first game and a half that he was actually able to play because he was healthy last year, was on a pace to be an all-SEC kind of player. That talent is in there. If he can play 12 games for Mississippi State, he will be pushing for all-SEC honors by the end of the year, and he can be a real difference maker for Mississippi State in that pass rush.
Somebody says, don't all the guys get a list of who's coming? They do, but he was asking more of, like, tell me who he is, because I have no idea who he is.
Right.
That was the basis of the question.
All right.
Really good stuff, though. Good day today.
It's not over yet.
Pete Golding got a round of applause after his press conference. And
who did that? It's like people who clap when you land the plane.
So
what did he do?
I will say
talked.
this. It was not
round of applause.
just people from Mississippi. Because clapping for coaches, if you're here to cover them, you don't do that. That's really poor decorum in the setting as somebody that's supposed to be here as working media. But apparently, it was not just those type of people that gave him a round of applause when he walked off the stage. You had some just reporters from other places like, damn, that was good. Forget my language, but you got some of that.
What is going on?
Hey, Dad, you're just miserable.
Well, I don't know. I don't care what coach it was. Like, we're applauding coaches at SEC Media Days? What are we doing here?
Somebody says, Borkey, you can't make a snarky comment about Whitson being an 8th year when your own quarterback is the same age. One, yes, I can. Two, but I don't care that he's an 8th year. It doesn't bother me one bit. He had some injury issues.
It bothers you.
You're
obviously very bothered.
I like Will Whitson. I'm glad that he's able to play another year because I think his journey to get Will.
Now say Whitson.
I did the emphasis.
That's what I'm saying.
Whitson.
No, you did it wrong. Say Will. Say Whitson.
Whitson.
Now say Will Whitson.
Will Whitson.
There it is.
But no, I love him. I think that he belongs right where he is right now, and he's earned it. More sports talk after the news.
I like this kind of party.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is presented by Pearl River Resort.
In Tampa, our SEC Media Days coverage is brought to you by Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Company. Andy Staples joins us from On3 Sports, the Andy and Ari podcast. What is the weirdest thing about Ari Wasserman? You have to give me the absolute S tier weirdest thing about him.
Oh, I haven't. It changes every day because
the bucket thing you dealt with.
All right, so
you did own a bucket.
Let us travel backward in time. So my co-host Ari Wasserman. Andy and Ari on 3 is the name of the podcast. You can find us on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasts. Did I do that okay?
You did great.
All right. So I tweeted out a text exchange I had with Ari because some folks who listen to us challenged us to the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, and which we still need to do, by the way. I've been on the road, so I haven't been at home to do it.
Right.
You got a nice suit on here, right here.
Exactly. And he said, so he sends me the video. He's like, we need to do this, right? I said, absolutely, we need to do this. And he goes, do you own a bucket? Do homeowners own buckets? And this is like Ari's on his...
It's a grown man.
Ari's on his second house. Like, he's not a first-time homeowner. Ari, I have like 7 buckets. I have lots of buckets for lots of reasons. He's like, why would I own a bucket?
He strikes me as a man who doesn't have a shed either.
And then I listed multiple reasons, like you're painting something, you're mopping a floor, you're carrying something from one place to another. You just throw some trash in there with a little project you're doing. You're mixing some chemicals together. Maybe you need to dilute something. He's like, why would I need to dilute something? So this caused everybody on Twitter to say, okay, what else does Ari own or not own? Does Ari own a shovel?
Did he?
No.
Oh my goodness! How do you not own a shovel?
Does Ari own a chainsaw? Of course not.
Okay.
Does Ari own a drill?
Probably not.
He does.
Okay.
Oh wow.
His dad gave him one.
Okay.
Does he know how to use it?
That's up in the air.
Debatable.
All right. What's debatable in the SEC this year? Well, John Summerall walking past us right this second. That is a program I'm very high on this year. I think they could be the most improved team in the SEC and be a team that, maybe on the periphery of the playoff, maybe not getting in, but a team you discuss. That's your alma mater. What do you think of the Gators?
I think they are in good shape everywhere except the question mark is the offensive line. They just, they didn't go super heavy in the portal on linemen. They spent most of their money retaining some really good players that they wanted to keep, like Jaden Woods, who's an edge rusher, Jaden Ball, the running back. And so the premium prices are for starting offensive linemen in the portal. And so they didn't really go after that. It was, guys they'd retained, and they went and cut a couple guys who played at other places. But that's going to be the biggest question mark going into the season. And I asked John Summerall about that this morning, and he said, when he got to UF, he was actually very dismayed by he didn't feel like the linemen were as strong as they needed to be. The amounts of weight they were pushing were not. I believe the way he phrased it was, I wasn't quite comfortable with that. But he said in the intervening months that group has gotten quite a bit stronger. So he feels like from that point of view that they're where they need to be. But how many kind of quote above the line linemen will they have? In the SEC, you really want to go into season with probably 8 who you feel comfortable playing in a game. They might be at 5 right now, and I think that's the part you worry about a little bit. Because I do feel like they're really solid everywhere else.
That sounds pretty common, though, and especially in the transfer portal. Maybe it's anecdotal, and I'm making this up, but it feels like if you are offensive line needy, good luck in the portal. Because you either have to overspend for a guy that's not good enough, or the good ones that they're just not in there.
The good ones don't go in the portal for the most part, except for like Jordan Seaton, LSU picked up. But if you look at the way they're recruiting on the offensive line, they're recruiting in a way that Florida has recruited on the offensive line in a decade. The last 5-star offensive lineman they signed was Martez Ivey. And they've got a guy named Maxwell Hiller, who's a guard from Pennsylvania, who Phil Troutwine is the new offensive line coach. He played at Florida, but he's been James Franklin's offensive line coach at Penn State for the last, I want to say, like 8 years. And so a lot of the guys that he was in on for Penn State, he just continued recruiting for Florida, and they were uncommitted, and then some of them wound up committing to Florida. They're clearly putting resources in the offensive line out of high school. So it's with the hope, I think, of getting those guys who become NFL offensive linemen who, like we said, don't go in the transfer portal. You gotta home grow those. Like we've seen Miami do that, and we've seen some of the better programs. They might go to the portal to get everything else, but they home grow the O-line. Florida clearly wants to do that, but that's not something that's going to help them in 2026.
Ole Miss here today as well, and that's a team that, from a talent perspective can go toe-to-toe with just about anybody. Yeah. I think their questions are because they have a new head coach in Pete Golding. What are your thoughts on the Rebels this year?
It's interesting because I don't look at Pete Golding as a new head coach.
I've been saying that.
He coached in the highest leverage games possible. He coached 3 playoff games for them and went through a situation as a leader that is probably more stressful than anything most of these head coaches have gone through. I mean, the situation of Lane leaving, him getting the job, him having to deal with filling out the staff, Lane trying to get the players to transfer to LSU. I mean, everything that happened there was a zoo, and I thought he handled it really well. And it's interesting because, obviously there's the Dabo stuff, which, look, if I'm Pete Golding and they come to me and like, we want to suspend you for tampering, I'd be like, okay, cool. You're going to suspend Lane Kiffin too. You're going to suspend, and you just start naming coaches, because I don't know that any roster was getting pillaged, getting attempted to be getting pillaged more than Ole Miss. Like, there's these really good players. Their coach just left. Let's go get them, boys. And that's what Pete Golding had to play defense against. And, I do wonder if they don't beat Georgia, what are we looking at roster-wise this year? Because it seemed like, Kewan Lacy and Trinidad Chambliss, that happens. They beat Georgia. They're getting those guys back. And that stabilized everything.
It changed the calculus. It provided a lot of people proof of concept that, this guy can handle this. This guy can win. On the flip side, you have Jeff Lebby entering year 3, and of course there's personnel deficiencies at Mississippi State compared to that of Texas.
It's a hard job.
But they had opportunities to win multiple games last year, and they came up short, and there's been a big question about his in-game coaching. How much does that, or can that improve? Is that something that you never have, or you can get better? What did you see from him last year, and can that actually change?
Well, Ole Miss fans, their last game, they saw a coach in Mario Cristobal who was a bad in-game coach for a while, who's not a bad in-game coach anymore. He's become a very good in-game coach. And, 2 years ago we were making fun of him for not taking a knee against Georgia Tech. And I would argue that a lot of the in-game game management situations that he faced in the playoff, the entirety of the Texas A&M game, the Ohio State game had some excellent choices he made down the stretch. Like, he's become a great in-game coach. So, yes, Lebby can be that. This is his first head coaching job. And, look, I was in Gainesville last year. That was a terribly mismanaged end-of-game situation. Mississippi State should have won that game. And, they had the Texas game where they should have won that game too.
If you just punt a ball out of bounds, you win that game.
Yeah. So, but it's a first-time head coach who, by the way, started off really behind the 8 ball year 1. I think they were in a much better place last year, and going into this year, love Kamario Taylor. Very excited to see what he can do. So I think we're going to see them grow and adapt. And look, is their roster going to be as good or well paid as the ones they're playing in the SEC? Probably not. But when you have a quarterback who might be special, that changes the math quite a bit too.
How much of an equalizer is that? It's cliche and everybody wants to talk to and about the quarterback. But when you look at the quarterbacks in the state of Mississippi, Trinidad Chambliss dealing with the coaching change in a new offense. You've got the
ultimate equalizer in the state of Mississippi. I think Trinidad Chambliss is the ultimate equalizer. You look at what he did. Especially once he got comfortable, and once he knew it's my job, I'm the guy. He changes everything. Some of the stuff he did, like at the end of the Georgia game in the playoff, he might be the only quarterback in the country that can make some of those plays.
Yeah, because that's not. And look, Lane and Charlie Weiss's scheme is outstanding.
Runs straight back.
Yeah.
And you're like, stop running backward, please stop running backward, please stop running back. And he gets out of it and completes the pass. Like, it's insane.
That transcends scheme. That is just a guy going out there and making
that's all natural. And so, and when you have a guy who's special, who stresses defenses, who forces the defense to stay honest. Like, I'm curious actually watching Auburn this year with Byron Brown, because he's such a scary runner in the open field. He's he's a 240-pound guy. Yeah. And when he gets to the open field, he's very hard to bring down. Like, how honestly will defenses have to play Auburn, and will that help Auburn throw the ball more?
Okay, about 30 seconds left. Tennessee was a first-time playoff team 2 years ago. Ole Miss was last year. Who's a first-time playoff team from the SEC this year? In 30 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, as LSU's first time in the 12 team.
In the 12 team, yeah.
that's the cop-out one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God, who's it going to be? I don't want to be the homer and say Florida, because, again, I'm not so sure about the offensive line. Not sure they're there yet.
How insane would South
Carolina be? I'm not there with Auburn
be?
yet either. Not that insane. Like, Shane is on the hot seat. It's true. But they could easily be a 9-10 win team. They have aliens on their team. Nobody had... Well, there are teams that have that many aliens, but not many.
Andy Staples on 3 Sports, man. Really appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
From the Venable Glass.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Cannon Motor Company.
Sports Talk Mississippi, we are back here at SEC Media Days in Tampa. Our SEC Media Days coverage brought to you by Trustmark Bank. Whatever you're planning for the future, when you bank with Trustmark, tomorrow starts today. Trustmark, people you trust, advice that works, member FDIC. The National Sports Media Association Sports Writer of the Year is our own Ross Dellinger. Good to see you, man. Yes.
Good to see you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
He says good to see us. I don't know if he actually...
it's good to see me.
It's good to see both of you, and you got the prime spot here.
We did. We made it easy to snag interviews this
somebody week. Inside the SEC office who sets up where radio people...
I'm not saying that any money changed hands. I'm just saying that we're here.
Bribes, maybe.
And now we know what Greg Sankey's
Great.
price is.
We shouldn't tell an investigative reporter what we're doing over here. So.
I don't investigate that much anymore. I'm too lazy for that now, too old.
Yeah, and you're having to deal with politics, which we have two...
I thought that was your wife's job.
Yeah, no, not anymore.
Yeah.
We have 2 3-hour-long political shows on this network that air before ours do, and it feels like you should be a guest on their show more than ours these days.
Yeah, it feels like most of the sports shows I'm on. That's what I end up talking about is politics. That's what I was writing about this morning. Why I couldn't get over here quick enough is the politics and what's going on the Hill. And
what was it? The Tommy Tuberville deal? Because I have a question about
not really. It was about the actual legislation that's getting revised in order to gain the Big Ten and SEC support. It's the Senate bill, not Tuberville's bill. But Tuberville, released or sent a memo to the Republicans, his caucus, yesterday, saying not to support the bill and to support his bill, which is a much more narrow, sort of scaled down legislation that just allows or limits transfers to one time and 5-year eligibility standard. When this other bill, the Senate bill, does a lot more, right? It gets into the weeds on things. It's real prescriptive. And he doesn't like that bill. Tommy's been very clear that he doesn't like the Senate bill. However, if the SEC and Big Ten do eventually support the Senate bill, which is what's going on now with negotiations to try to get them there, and it could happen by the end of the week, I think Tuberville probably will come around on the bill if the SEC openly supports it.
You know how Washington works, and often they try to slip things into these bills and page 1,050 to get something. Tuberville, on the surface, what he released today makes so much more sense than the Save College Sports Act because, like you said, it's simple, and that solves basically every problem we have. Eligibility, capped at 5 years, and one-time penalty-free transfers. That kills a lot of the chaos. But is there something else that about Tuberville's bill that we should be, skeptical of?
Yeah, it doesn't have Democrat support, and in order to get a bill through Congress, you have to have 60 votes in the Senate, and there are 53 Republicans right now, which means you need 7 Democrats to vote for the bill. Democrats want a bill that's more broad, that more wide-ranging, touches on many other subjects, gets in detail on things. They don't want to just give some sweeping antitrust limited liability protection to the NCAA and the conferences. They want to be more prescriptive. The easy way to say it is the Republicans want to say, NCAA, make your rules and you can enforce them and not get sued. And the Democrats want to say, here are the rules that you can enforce and not get sued.
I don't like any of this. I just want to point that out.
Is it?
Oh, no? You're not blown away.
I hate that you write about this stuff because I love you so much. And I'm like, I just wish you'd write something about a player or something.
It shapes the future of the sport, though. I mean, this directly dictates what happens on the field.
Yeah.
But, like, the Democrats wanting all of this nuance, I don't trust either side. I don't trust Congress to handle nuance very well. And what I'm concerned about is how complex all of this is. Either unintended consequences or not doing it the right way, or the Supreme Court, if it gets challenged, they're saying, no, this doesn't work. All this effort, years of effort, might end up being either a bad result or a waste of time. And that's what bothers me so much about this whole process.
Well, yeah, this is year 7 of the NCAA's lobbying effort, so it's been a long time. I guess last year, the SCORE Act made it farther along than any other piece of legislation. It made it on the kind of the brink of a vote in the House of Representatives. It didn't get there, though, in the end, and it died. That legislation was more Republican written and friendly, and it was more you guys create the rules and enforce them, as opposed to what I just mentioned of we're going to create the rules for you and enforce them, which is the Senate bill. That's how it's written. But the Senate bill is on the brink of a vote in the Senate. So we're getting close, but it's taken a long time. It has, and there's a lot of distrust in that Congress will eventually actually do it, because once it gets through the Senate, it has to go through the House and follow a similar process. So we're weeks, if not months away. It's a long, painful process. I often say that the only thing sort of slower to action than the NCAA is Congress, and we're seeing that.
Is there one rule, one caveat that the NCAA and the Democrats could come to a consensus on that might move this along? Is there one bigger stumbling block than others?
Well, like the revisions right now that are being, the negotiations right now, and the negotiations are going on are between the three co-authors of the Senate bill, which is Maria Cantwell, a Democrat, and then two Republicans, Ted Cruz and Eric Schmidt. They are negotiating with the Big Ten and SEC to try to get their support onto the bill. That's what's happening right now. And of the issues, you asked about one of them, is there's a provision in the bill that, if interpreted a certain way, would make the cap a very hard cap and would eliminate a lot of the money that's already been promised to athletes, especially for the Big Ten and SEC. Mm-hmm. So the Big Ten and SEC want some changes there, and I reported about that a couple of days, or yesterday. It was a new retention pool. So, and listeners might be this might be an interesting part for them because it's about money and about money that your school can spend. Right now there's a cap of $21.3 million that each school can spend on their athletes. The retention pool, in addition to that, there would be a retention pool of $25 million. So overall, you had about a $45 million cap then. Now the retention pool is just for retaining players.
So you would have a budget, in effect, or a salary cap for your current players, and then another one for recruits and transfers.
Right. Yep. The regular rev share cap would be for transfers that you bring in high school players, and then your $25 million retention pool would be for those players who have been on your roster.
That sounds expensive, but also that sounds like it provides schools a better opportunity to keep their own players, right?
It does. That's the incentive. It's supposed to be an incentive for players to remain at their school because the schools can use this bucket of money to do that. And that bucket of money is bigger than the other bucket. So the idea is that most of the time, or a lot of the time, you will have the ability to spend more money than somebody coming after your player,
okay.
Right? So
I don't hate that.
That's right, and that's kind of the lane that they're going for with the retention pool. So if you combine the two, obviously you get around 45 to 50 million, and that also is more of the market right now. The market is around. Mississippi State's. Right, let's take Mississippi State, for example. I think they're spending in the upper 20 millions on their football roster. I think they're spending 12-ish, 13 on their basketball roster. And baseball, I wouldn't even hazard a guess. But you're around 60 million, probably, 50 to 60 million. So that this new sort of idea gets you closer to that. Because what they're doing in the bill is cutting out all of these affiliated entities, associated entities, booster stuff that's being run through to where you can exceed the cap. The idea is in the bill you can't exceed the cap, but you get this extra.
Got about a minute and 15 seconds left here. Who enforces it? Because Ted Cruz was on Andy and Ari's show, and they asked him straight up, okay, you passed the bill, who enforces it? And he didn't have an answer.
Yeah. Well, the idea is in the bill, as currently written, it gives protection to the College Sports Commission to enforce with a harder cap that's spelled out in the bill to enforce all of this that we're discussing. That is what it comes down to, right? I mean, it always comes down to, doesn't matter what the rule is, if you can't enforce a rule, It's not really a rule. Yeah. So that is the big thing. And right now, the way the bill is written, it would provide antitrust protection for the College Sports Commission to enforce the language of the bill, which is no associated entities, multimedia rights partners, corporate sponsors can give money that exceeds the cap. So all that has to count against the cap, which is why they're talking about a retention pool to expand the cap. That's sort of the idea.
But what about endorsement deals?
Well, if the endorsement deal is with a brand or company who is contracted with the school, it is an associated entity and counts against the cap. You can't go over the cap anymore. But that's why they're adding this retention pool. That's why they're expanding the cap. So,
unfortunately, you do great work.
Ross Dellinger. My big award. Ross Dellinger here at SEC Media. Thanks, buddy. Yep.
From the SeaBrook.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Trustmark Bank.
And a big-time hit.
SEC Media Days live here in Tampa. Our coverage is brought to you by Cannon Motors. See your Mississippi Ford Lincoln dealers, Cannon Ford Lincoln of Starkville, Cleveland, and Pascagoula. Remember, nobody beats a Cannon deal. Nobody. CannonMotorCompany.com. Our old friend Andrew Abity is here from the Gainesville Sun. He used to cover Southern Mississippi, now covers the Florida Gators, who are here at SEC Media Days today. This is a team that a year ago, Andrew, I couldn't have been any lower on the Florida Gators. It was like, Billy Napier, it's not going to work. They're going to fire him. One of the few predictions I'll get right. Now I'm super high on the Florida Gators. I think this is a team that's going to be really good, really fast, back in the playoff picture sooner rather than later. Am I wrong? Am I too early on this? Or what's your initial thoughts on this season for Florida?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me back. Good to be back.
Always good to have old friends back on.
Missed the sip. I wouldn't say year one. They've got a lot of work to do. Offensive line is a very, very genuine big question mark. I think secondary is too. But I think they got the pieces, and I think they have some home run hires with the coaching staff. Buster Faulkner, who coached at Southern Miss for a season, who did a phenomenal job the 1 year he was there. I think they've got tools and the foundation, but will they be 4-8 this year? I would be surprised. Are they going to win 10 games? Probably not. But I think they're going to be immensely better.
In this era, a lot of coaches, when they take over programs, there's something they need to fix that's not necessarily the roster. It's organization, booster, factions, all the stuff that they have to deal with. Was there anything at Florida that Summerall had to fix when he got there, absent the actual players on the football field?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first thing he'd tell you was the culture was just kind of falling apart, which, that you could say that with any head coaching tenure that's not going the right direction. But the big one he put his hands into was the conditioning and weightlifting. Completely redid the weight room. And Rusty Witt, who had stops at Tulane and Troy along with them, just completely changed their entire strength program. And I think that was warranted because all the injuries that Florida players, they had a lot last year, were all the same injuries. And they completely redid it. They spent millions of dollars trying to redo the weight room. And, a lot of it was because of safety. You don't think about that with college weight rooms. You think that's something they just know. Yeah. And I think you're starting to see it. Guys who have had these lingering injuries for the last couple of years and just last season are all of a sudden extremely healthy. And I think that's an underappreciated thing. And when I was at Southern Miss, who, the baseball team had one of the best strength programs, I got to do a story on that. And it's amazing how much programs, you have your training room and your strength room, and it's amazing how many of those in the country don't communicate.
You would think they would be basically the same. Yeah.
You would think, well, a lot of places, the weight program's doing its thing. Guy gets hurt, sends him to the trainer, and that's it. Get him healthy. There's no coordinating and trying to balance that out and figuring out what a guy needs to be doing. Crazy concept, right? But yeah. I mean, there's so many programs that don't do that or weren't doing that, and I think Coach Summerall has gotten that ship righted in the right direction.
He used an old coaching cliche earlier about the quarterback position. Well, the guy that starts game 1 may not start game 12. It's one of my favorite ones. Who is going to start game 1?
Great question. To be fair, that has proved to be true at all of Summerall's stops.
Yeah.
I mean, Darren Mensah was not the starter when he was coming up as a freshman. He was the third-string quarterback.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, his first year at Troy, he had a 2-quarterback system, whether it was unofficial or not. If I had to guess, I think it might be Philo who comes out in the first game, but I think Tramel Jones has so much raw talent and can be crafted that, I mean, he could be the guy for the next couple years for the Gators. So I think it just depends on who's progressing where. I think Tramel Jones is going to be their quarterback at some point. I don't know if it's this year, but I think they're in a good spot in that. I'm more worried that I don't think it's going to matter because I think both of them at some point are going to be running for their lives. Mm-hmm. Harsh reality.
We just had Andy Staples on, who of course knows that program inside and out, being an alum, and he talked about the exact same thing. He said he thinks that Florida may go into the season with really only like 5 linemen that they feel confident in putting out there in an SEC situation. Sort of go back, I guess, with us a little bit. How did it get that way for the Florida Gators?
I mean, injuries was a lot of it. Mm-hmm. I think they missed badly on recruiting on the last cycle, and a lot of guys hit. And also, strangely, it was like an old position. Like, they had guys just out of eligibility. Like, there was a heavy senior class position. And so that was part of it. I mean, they were fortunate to bring in Georgia Tech starting center. That's a big boost, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. Now, they're making up for it on the recruiting trail. I mean, they're landing – I think they have their first 5-star offensive lineman in 10 years or something like that. What's even more interesting is they're not going to the portal. They're going to true freshmen to kind of fill those ranks up in the future. And I'm curious to see if that's like a spot that you are better off developing rather than finding somebody quick in the portal.
We've learned that too. Watching schools in the state of Mississippi State had big offensive line problems, and they were needy and they were desperate to spend to get players, and they're just not there on the offensive line in the portal. So how do you marry those two things? Because that appears to be the best strategy, especially on the offensive line, build through high school, develop, because you can't just go buy great offensive linemen, certainly not 5 of them. But there's also the immediacy of expectations that come with this era, because Indiana ruined it for everybody.
Sure.
Because now everybody's going to be like, oh, you can win 11 games in year 1 and go win a title in year 2. How do you marry those two things?
I think what Summerall is doing is, and I think we're starting to see this in every sport now, you are better off bringing in your guys, and know who's good, and you're better off overspending and keeping the guys that you know and want that are your base level players rather than getting quick fixes in the portal. Like, think about it cost-wise. It makes more sense for me to invest in a kid who I know is a 5-star and going to be everything that I know he's going to be, overspend on him, keep him for 3 years rather than go getting somebody for 1 year. I mean, it's just business sense-wise, it makes more sense to do that. So I think that's a lot of it. I mean, that was Summerall's strategy with this portal cycle. That's
Florida.
I was just going to say that's why they kept Jaden Baugh.
Who I just wanted to ask you about. One of the best running backs in college football is Jaden Baugh. Running backs really only go as far as the offensive line can go, but this is a guy, even with the struggles they had last year, that was able to produce. How much better can he be this year?
Yeah, I'm more interested to see what he does with a better play caller.
Okay.
Sorry, Billy Napier.
It's fair.
Yeah, I mean, because you look at the first 4 games, the dude had maybe 10 touches and he was getting 80 yards. And it's what are y'all doing? It's throwing the ball with DJ Lagway is not working. I think he's going to flourish better just because of that. And the way Buster Faulkner works, yeah, he's got a system he wants to run, but he's very smart at coaching his teams to play to their strengths. We saw that at Southern Miss. I cannot remember the guy's name, but they took a while. They only had one running back that they trusted in that 1 year. They played they played Tulane in the Armed Forces Bowl that year.
Yeah.
And he was a receiver, and all of a sudden he looked at him and said, "You know what? I bet you can play running back." And he had 500 yards and 500 receiving yards, 500 rushing yards, and he had a decent stint with the Colts. He was a local kid too, and I could not remember his name right now, but that's the context of how Buster Faulkner thinks, So I just think from that standpoint alone, he's going to flourish a lot better.
We've just got a couple of minutes left. Florida is a program that, it's a proud program. National champions.
Oh, yeah.
They've had so much success in the past. They've been kind of starving to get back to that. We asked the same question of some of the Auburn people. What is the Florida fan mindset going into year 1 of John Summerall?
That is a great question. Because
I try.
I mean, because I don't know. Like, this fan base is... I equate it to how Mississippi fans are for baseball is how they are for football in Florida. And, I think there's realistic expectations, but there is an expectation for them to be better and to be way more competitive than what they were towards the end. Because, I mean, it was painful to watch those last couple of games. But, I mean, at the same time, Summerall's saying all the right I mean, he's clearly winning the press conferences. I mean, if you watch today, he won that easily just by threatening to throw the chair at a media member.
That wasn't you, was it?
No.
Good man.
The amount of text messages I got, though, about that, I appreciate everybody for thinking it was me. But, I mean, I think it's, there's an acceptance that it's still year one, but I think as long as the fans see this thing going in the right direction, nobody's going to be jumping ship, per se.
I guess
fair.
Yeah. One last question about this, and we'll let you go. With Florida, no divisions anymore. You still got Georgia. The schedule's difficult. One of the games we're most interested in, though, is the Week 4 game with Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off of that game with LSU. I feel like, and we only got about 60 seconds, win or lose, Ole Miss's emotions are going to be in a certain kind of way. Is that the game where if Florida could find a way to win that, their season could be off and running?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Or they're going to be better.
Yeah.
But also, as Summerall pointed out in a much cleaner fashion, Pete Golding's 2-0 against Summerall. Or at least 1-0 officially. But, I mean, he didn't beat Ole Miss last year.
Right.
And arguably, that team probably, his Tulane team would have beat Florida last year. I assure you of that. So, yeah, but I think you're right. I mean, I think that's kind of the... we're going to see where this thing goes. I mean, even if it's a close loss for Florida, this thing's heading in the right direction. I mean, Ole Miss is going to be good. Mm-hmm. Whether or not Pete Golding ruins that or not, we'll find out, right? But, I mean, it's going to be an interesting – I think it's going to be a tell game for both programs, really.
I think you're right. Andrew Abity, Gainesville Sun. Appreciate your time, man. We'll see you back in the SIP hopefully soon. Sports Talk Mississippi live here in Tampa. We'll be back in just a minute with you guys.
Sports Talk Mississippi's coverage of SEC Media Days is brought to you in part by Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Company.
Oh, one-handed catch.
Sports Talk Mississippi live at SEC Media Days here at the end of day 3. Our coverage in Tampa is brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Cannon Motors, Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Company, Trustmark Bank, and brought to you by some of our local sponsors, Fastnet. Fastnet is the fastest, easiest, and most reliable internet option in the Golden Triangle. All brought to you by 4 County. No contracts, no hassles, no data caps. Go to 4cfastnet.com. And R&M Tire Pros. R&M Tire Pros in Starkville is your hometown tire and auto repair service center that has been serving Starkville for over 30 years. RNMTirePros.com.
So this is basically the end of day 3 at SEC Media Days. Ole Miss,
as always, we are one of the last ones. Yeah.
The Eastern time zone is a problem for us.
Let's go a step further. The Eastern time zone is a plague upon society.
I grew up in the Eastern time zone. It is, I think, the second worst time zone to live in.
It is the worst time zone to live in.
I think West Coast time is the worst.
Let me tell you why you're wrong. Because in West Coast time, if you roll out of bed on a college football Saturday at, 9 a.m., there's games on.
Yeah, but I do like the build-up.
Nah.
I like to get some stuff done, cut the grass,
I don't mind
whatever.
that, but you can get up at 7 and do that.
Cut the grass with neighbors at 7 a.m.?
7 is an acceptable grass cutting time.
On a Saturday only?
Yeah. No.
Every other day of the week? No.
Well, on Sunday.
We're talking about Saturday.
Sunday, too.
I think on Sunday you should give your neighbors a break.
Okay, well, then I'll live with that. But, the idea, Eastern time is the worst. Like, we got home from dinner last night. It's like 10:50. I'm like, what? Why is it 10:50? Then I do the podcast, and I get done with that, and it's 12:31. Why? This is outrageous, egregious. ridiculous.
I want to say another thank you to Brad and the team with the Ole Miss Sports Information Department. They had to scramble. They had to make things happen, and I am really thankful that they did. Especially, they were all great, but I'm especially glad that we got to sit down with Trinidad Chambliss and them making that work with the day that they had.
And
because
I got to give a special shout out to Brad for letting Chambliss come over and do a little fun thing
yes,
with me.
I
thought that
great.
was fun. He got a kick out of it too. So,
but it's just how things work. It's the same thing in the NFL. Although the NFL, they get locker room access daily, so you hear from the players more, and they're also at your school for longer. This is really only. I mean, we're still technically on year one of Trinidad
you just
Chambliss.
referred to the NFL players is at your school.
Oh, at your school, on your. I mean, whatever.
Cam Jordan has been at New Orleans Saints Elementary.
How many degrees would he have?
Well, he'd just be a senior
years?
at this point, wouldn't he? Yeah. Goodness gracious.
But on your team for longer, so you get to hear from them more. And Trinidad has done a lot of media stuff, but not to the point where everybody has heard from him and heard him talk and heard his perspective. And he's just incredibly impressive. And so I'm glad you guys got to hear that today, and I'm excited to hear from Mississippi State's contingent tomorrow. And I mean, the beautiful thing about today is Ole Miss has a lot of star power. You have elite quarterback, elite running back, elite defensive lineman. State has an elite defensive back projected to be a first-round pick, and a quarterback that can be.
Nick Saban had some kind words about Kamario Taylor today.
I saw that.
Also, in case I don't think we brought it up today, but we did remind you last week. But again, Thunder and Lightning has moved. It is on Thursday for this week only. Because with Mississippi State going tomorrow, we're going to make that work. On tomorrow's show, Thunder and Lightning, Kelly Jones will join us live here at SEC Media Days. And CBS Sports analyst Bryant McFadden, who was an All-American defensive back at Florida State, played a long time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He joins us as well. And I've already recorded that interview. I'll give you a little inside baseball. A very passionate statement about Kelly Jones and his future as an NFL player. So you don't want to miss that. That's tomorrow starting at 6 Central, God's time zone.
Central is the best time zone.
Central is not even close. It's not even a discussion. I won't have it with anyone.
It's the best of all worlds.
Yeah. Plus, you're probably in the Central time zone.
Although I had so many questions for Greg Sankey. I had 10 that I didn't get to. And there's one I didn't even write down, which, he would have completely brushed this off. But I think there needs to be a new rule that bans a college football game in the SEC from kicking off as the sun is still going up. That should be the threshold. You've got these November games that kick off at 11 a.m., and the sun is rising over the stadium when the game kicks off. That is unacceptable. And we need to change that. I didn't get to ask him about it.
That's among many other things.
Many other things.
All right. Today was Ole Miss Day. Tomorrow, Mississippi State. Coach
Very
Jeff
exciting.
Lebby, Kamario Taylor, Anthony Evans, and Kelly Jones will join us tomorrow. Plus, we've got more great interviews with all the media here at SEC Media Days. We'll have a great day. Looking forward to bringing that to you tomorrow. We've appreciated you guys tuning in. We've seen your comments on the C Spire text line. You're enjoying the coverage. We're enjoying bringing it to you. For Michael Borkey, for the GOAT, Houston McDavid, for Will Easton Studio X, I'm Brian Hadad. Don't miss us tomorrow, day 4 of SEC Media Days here in Tampa. Our coverage brought to you by Pearl River Resort, Cannon Motors, Mississippi Farm Bureau, and Trust Smart Bank. See you tomorrow.
Incredible! A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.